Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Love It or Shove It. If this is the first time you're tuning in, hello. We are here talking about love and relationships and everything what really makes our life exciting and fun. And if this is the first time you are tuning in, my name is Irina Portnova. I'm all about manifestation and I help you to manifest your best relationship in love and to know what exactly does it look like for you. And I'm here with my co-host, and it's his birthday, Bruno Gill. Bruno, happy birthday and all the best.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, 1 year wiser. I love it. So it's
Yeah.
super cool. And Bruno, just say a couple of words about yourself and what are you doing in this world?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Bruno, as you know. I'm a self-love coach, and I like to say that I focus on women, and I help them, love themselves a bit more and have more confidence, which is always needed and always wanted and always desired. And I do that by eliminating fears and insecurities and anxieties, basically. And the more you detach yourself, the more free you become, and the more confident and the happier you become by consequence. So, yeah, that's basically a little bit of what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And we here have in our studio Jennifer Seifert, our guest. Jennifer, welcome and tell a little bit about yourself and what you are doing in this world.
Yes, thank you for having me on Love It or Shove It. And I love that title. My name's Jennifer Sifert, and I'm a leadership mentor, shaman. And I also have charter professional accounting designation letters behind my name. And I walk in two worlds. I have a leg in two worlds. I've got that logical business leader, realistic point of view, but I also have this spiritual, creative, connected, and all things are working together to help us point of view. And I use this synergy of all of my skills and talents that I've developed over the last, 48 years, 30 years intensely to really help leaders, the ones that really want to make a world change, the ones that know that they are here to build new systems and create new paradigms. I want to help them move through the obstacles that get in their way so that they can do it. And lots of us in this room, we've had to move through obstacles, and some of those obstacles are called shadows, what we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited
Yes,
about that.
thanks so much for being with us. And yes, let's talk about shadows. Like this is we were talking behind the scene before we got live. We were talking that this is the first topic in our talk show where we talk about the shadow work and how important it is. And let's first define what is shadow because a lot of people might not even have a clue what we are talking about. We know that we have all shadows when the sun is shining on us, right? But it's a little bit deeper than that. Okay, Jennifer, would you like to shed some light on that?
Yeah. So, what is your shadow? So, it is similar to like the sun shining on you, and then there's the shadow casting. So, Arena and I were saying there's these two sides of us because we live in this world of duality. And let's just say I talk about money, right? Like there's this prosperity type of frequency or consciousness, or there's this scarcity frequency or consciousness. So those are two shadows, light and dark. And for ourselves, we have all of these things inside of us. And when it comes to love and relationships, there's the feminine and the masculine, and, the woman and the man, or the child and the adult. There's always these two sides. And I don't say that shadows are negative or positive. They're just a different aspect and a different way of looking at the same thing. It's like an antonym, a synonym.
Mhm. Totally. So let's talk a little bit about how does that shadow side of us show up in the relationships, right? Because it shows up in the relationship to ourselves, and it also shows up in the relationship with our romantic partners.
Yeah.
So, Bruno, what comes to your mind when I talk about shadow work as a relationship tool?
Um, like when it comes to my mind, shadow work comes unhealed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like when your shadow comes, it shows the true parts of yourself that you've been hiding. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of times in relationships, what comes to my head is like, I didn't know you were this person. But that's because that person never showed herself this way, because the person who doesn't show something in a certain way, they're conscious enough that that might not be accepted, that might not be a reason of love, so they never show it. But if they never show it and they never end up working on it, eventually will come up and they will show it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what comes for me. So I think the key thing here that every couple can do, or every partner in a couple can do, is either notice that the partner is doing that and tell them, have you noticed that sometimes you do this and you do that? Or the partner himself or herself be like, self-reflect a bit and understand what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, so for example, something I always teach, like, the women that I work with, is to self-reflect. Because whether if it's in relationship or by themselves, because people don't know how to think. As much as it pains me to say it, we live in 2025 and people don't know how to think. They know how to overthink, but they don't know how to think. Like, people are more prone and conditioned to judge themselves than to really help themselves, right? To really, like, move forward in life. The more you overthink, the more you're moving backwards. If you overthink about the same thing over and over and over again, you're never going to get anywhere other than the place that you're in right now, which is what you're thinking about as well. And so it's important to self-reflect. So, if you notice your partner continue, like, doing some patterns that kind of reveal a little bit of their shadow work, make it clear for them. Make it available for them. Make it obvious for them. Explain it to them in a way where they're going to understand, right? And sometimes a very good way to make them understand something is to tell them how you felt when they did it, right? Because your partner
Mm-hmm.
cares, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's
You
that's
know,
what comes to me.
yeah, you know what, the most important thing is to realize that relationships actually trigger the unseen, right? Because, for instance, whatever we feel triggered by our partner, this is something that we want to look within ourselves. Because
Hmm.
when these things healed in us, nothing is triggering, right? We
Yeah.
just move on. We feel that it's okay. Again, any situation is not good or bad, it's neutral. It's all about how we deal with the situation. And our partner becomes that perfect mirror who reflects what is something for us to work on. And this is so helpful in the relationship realm, because a lot of times we are pointing out what's wrong with our partners, not
Hmm.
realizing that, hey, if this bothers me, there is something in me that I want to look at. This is something that I want to, like you mentioned, self reflect and understand why this bothers me, and see
Hmm.
what sides of me, what maybe, like past experiences that trigger that in me. Jennifer,
Yep.
what do you see?
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement there, and I agree with Bruno as well. Is we might notice the other person, and it doesn't bother us, but we notice that they're bothered with something in me, right? Like, you know, you can notice it two ways, especially when you're in a relationship and you're around each other a lot. There's a there's a lot of opportunity to ignore things, like put up
Mhm.
with things, to tolerate things. And if you're noticing that you're ignoring because you see it but you don't want to say anything, or if you're tolerating it because it's something that you don't want, you're tolerating, you just keep putting up with it. You think you're accepting it, but you're actually tolerating it. Like I was with an alcoholic for 7 years, and he would drink minimum 6 beer a day, sometimes 24 beers a day. And I wouldn't say anything. And I would just, keep putting a shadow, a fog on my eyes to keep from seeing it. But what I saw in him was, this self-destructive mode, right? And even though I tolerated it, it did bother me. But there was also something inside of me that was self-destructing because I was holding myself in that relationship and limiting myself, like holding myself back for 7 years, really,
Mhm.
because I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything about it. I didn't work on that shadow of self-destruction.
Mhm.
Which the opposite side would be self-actualization, right? Like, holding myself there. So it's good to work with somebody, like either any one of us, but if you're definitely a relationship coach, when you're in a relationship, it's really hard to do it by yourself, I think.
Totally. Right.
Third eye in there, right? That third perspective.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Like I said, because we can't see the picture if we are the ones in the frame. So it always takes another person to look at the situation on the different perspective. And, like I do remember my marriage relationship in the last 10 years. That was something that was also, like Jennifer, you mentioned, it was also a little bit distractive on my part. But I was always just, kept quiet and kept going because I felt that, this is the way to be. And if I did have the coach at that moment by my side, who could have said, right, there is nothing wrong with you, that, like there is something that has to be worked on the other side, right? And again, it's just like we learn and we grow, and each relationship that we are in teaching us something, and we become wiser, we become better, and we actually stepping into our power. If there was a
Mhm.
time when we just silenced ourselves, once we worked on ourselves, we become more powerful, because when we started to have the relationship with Bruno, I wasn't holding back. Like I was telling him, there was something, like we used to not to fight, but kind of there was a lot of triggers
Lots.
with us. And I used to tell him that you cannot speak to me this way. And it's all about, like each relationship is different, and it's all about communication, and be, like be open with each other, and know that the other person is willing to hear your side, that the other person is not going to interrupt you. I remember we were like even having like Bruno is like, okay, I'm not talking to you for a couple of days. And I'm like, okay, it's even better because I don't have to go through the roller coaster. And then he would be like, okay, let's go on Zoom. Let's talk it out. And this is what I love about him, because not too many men know how to communicate. And a lot of them just, like shove things under the rug. They don't want to be bothered. They want to stay in that victimhood position. But I love that he was open, and we were always willing to listen to each other and adjust.
Of course.
Nice.
So Jennifer, what
Absolutely.
Well, what was coming up for me there was sometimes the other person, like, I'll go back to the self-destructive shadow there, right? So there was in anything, neither one of us, let's just say there's nothing wrong with you. Like, I mean, it's who you are, right? Like, it's who you are. If you wanted to be an alcoholic, that's fine. That's fine. But what happens is when you're on the personal transformation growth path is when you start working on yourself and you start noticing more about I'd like this, I don't like this about a person. Like you start to get real with yourself about what you like and what you don't like. That sort of opens up like a can of worms to what is showing up for you. And so you can almost have like a whole bunch of shadows start like coming up into your face around, well, I don't like this, I don't like that, and get confused. You can get confused about whose shadow is who. And because people are projecting. People are projecting old past stuff on you. And so I've been in situations where I would have people come up to me and tell me that I'm intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me that to my face, and thinking that that I was giving them permission to tell me that. Like, I mean, that it was a compliment, or I don't know. And what I noticed is I would start beating myself up and trying to contort myself and change myself into a different person because they were afraid of something in me. Like they were afraid of something in me. And it wasn't anything that I should have taken personal. Like,
totally.
if somebody says, "Oh, you're so put together," it makes me intimidating. It makes me feel intimidated. That's not my problem. Like, that's not my problem. That's your projection on me, right? But
yeah, of course.
But sometimes when I was working through a process around shadows, I was starting to beat myself up about that because I was feeling like I had to change again. I had to constantly dim my light. And so what I noticed about myself growing up is people telling me things around, oh, don't say those things. Don't be so bright. Don't take up so much space. Like, don't believe that you can do what you say you're going to do. Like, be a leader or a healer or a shaman or something like that. Don't tell anybody those things. Those types of things close us down over time. And then when we start getting activated, like we decide to leave that relationship that kept us small, we have to like work on all of these shadows. Like they start coming out of nowhere and they show up in the new person that you're with. Like you and Bruno probably had a lot of triggers show up because maybe you both were coming out of relationships that were constrictive. Like they kept you small, and now you're moving into something where you can be bigger, right? Like bigger and better together. And you're both willing to work on the things so that comes up, right?
Yeah, the thing with me wasn't a relationship. It wasn't a romantic relationship. It was a relationship with my mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you can already imagine what I'm talking about. And so I understood that I was projecting a lot of what I felt throughout my life towards the relationship now, and I was giving, I was giving in a negative way, right? In a very negative way. I was giving this relationship a chance to experience old feelings from past experiences that have nothing to do with this one, right? And obviously, it was a mistake, but the most important thing is that people learn with what they do, right? And that people don't bring back old memories and old feelings and old emotions into the relationship, because into your new relationships, because what that makes me believe is that you're afraid that the same thing is going to repeat itself, and that the only way you know how to deal with it is by being either aggressive or by repeating the same patterns that you repeated before.
Yeah.
And because you don't know any other way to deal with it, you end up being toxic. But for you, it doesn't matter, because you're stuck in that emotion. There's nothing toxic enough that you do that will ever outweigh or outbeat what people did to you. But you're not in that relationship anymore, right? So bringing all that back now into the present is only going to damage you even more. It's going to damage the person that you're with, or the people that you're with, right? So it's important that like you know how to detach yourself, right, from what's happening, right, and you know the difference between present and past,
Yeah.
right? And
And
at the
that
same
person
time, like,
and this person, right? Like it's a totally different
right,
person.
right, exactly, absolutely, 100%, 100%, yeah, 100%.
So you know what comes for me is just, you know, when we work in our relationships, we also realize that there should be the element of compassion, right? Because again, if we learn how to be compassionate to our partner, no matter what they're going through, we also bring that compassion to ourselves, because again, we were not born to know everything. So each relationship we are entering actually allow us to look at something, allow us to work on something, and the more we can explain each other, right? That's exactly what was happening. Like we would come together, we would talk it out. I would say, "Listen, this is the way you made me feel," and Bruno would be like, "Okay, this is not the way I see it," right? So it's always important to
Totally.
have the communication, right? Because again, it's like otherwise we all are sitting with our thoughts, and our thoughts is not the reality, right? I always say, unless you directly speak to the person to know what's on their mind, we are just projecting and we are just making up stories that are not even existing.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm so with you there.
right.
And the thing that I also know in my relationship is when you're with somebody for a long time, you get connected, right? Like you get connected on the telepathic level as well. And when something is triggering that other person and they're pissed about something,
Mm-hmm.
you know it. Like you know it. And their energy changes, the cold shoulder comes up or they get silent and that kind of thing. And it doesn't feel good, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to let that go on for a long time is torture, I would say. So it's
Totally.
like there's an opportunity for that conversation to start, and one of you has to take the initiative to say, let's have the Zoom call, or let's have the family meeting.
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
and and that's where the shadows get worked through. That's where they get worked through and get brought up into consciousness. Because when you start noticing that something is bothering you,
Right.
I went through this a few weeks ago where I was getting the cold shoulder, and it's like, I know, like, I don't know what I did, but I don't know what is bothering you. And
Mm.
it gave me a chance. And normally my MO would be to hope it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'll just hope it goes away and works itself out, right? I would prefer it just to hope it goes away. But was
Mm-hmm.
instead of hoping goes away, I actually said, no, I don't like this when you do this. Like, if you have a problem, tell me right away, because I am so sensitive to your energy
Mm-hmm.
and to your projected thoughts that are coming not from your mouth, they're coming right from your head. I get
Mm-hmm.
it. I feel it. And I know what you're thinking. And so if you don't like something, let's deal with it, because I can't take it, right? Like I can't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Just standing up in my power like that shifted everything. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
almost needed that experience. And then I just noticed a text before we came onto the show is like, oh, I'm arranging this trip, It's just like when you it's like then you feel like you want to give to each other again, right? Like you want to
Mm.
take care of each other again. Uh,
Totally. I
yeah.
love what you share. Again, it's like, you know, nobody is perfect, because if we were perfect, we wouldn't be here, right? We wouldn't be on this planet. We wouldn't be alive. We would be in other dimensions. But the idea is, what brings the beauty of it is just like really um, adjust to each other, really to know another person, so you can fine tune. So this way, you both love each other the proper way, you respect each other in the right way. And again, not to say that someone's relationship better than others. It's like everybody's different, but it's very important to be conscious of that we all have the shadow work to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jennifer, can you give us a couple of tools for the shadow
Well,
work?
one one of the tools is to notice, like, and
Mhm.
noticing is like the best medicine out there.
Totally.
When somebody, and it doesn't just have to be your partner, right? Because you can do this in Zoom rooms, you can do this when you're at events or networking or at work, like in the office. When you notice that, oh, it just bothers me so much, I don't like it about that person, and you might even start complaining, you might blame, and you might start gossiping about,
Mhm.
I don't like this about that person. Just pick
Hmm.
up that if you don't like it about them, it's something in you that you don't like about
Mhm.
yourself, right? Like,
Mhm.
what is it? And then if you can name it. So intimidating, right? Like if you
Mhm.
think I'm intimidating, if something is there and you're like, oh, I just don't like something about her, she's makes me
Mhm.
intimidated. That's the shadow. That's the shadow.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That word alone. And just, you know, reflect on it, like Bruno said, like self-reflect on what
Mhm.
is that word, like what is it about intimidating? Look up the definition, like look up, go into that word, and that will really bring up some more. What are you thinking, Bruno? What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel absolutely. I think you're correct. Absolutely. Um, Self-reflection is so important. Like honestly, it's one of the most, if it's one, if not the most important thing when it comes to your self-development.
Mhm.
Because if you don't think about what you failed, right? Because you either succeed or you fail. That doesn't mean that the failure is like, oh my gosh, super enormous failure. Can be small, can be tiny, can be big, can be enormous, right? Um, if you don't think about what happened, you're always going to keep repeating it. There's a reason
Mhm.
why people succeed and there's a reason why people fail, because the people who succeed, no matter how much they fail, they will learn so much, so much, so much about what they failed, whether if it's in the relationship, in the friendship, in money, right? Spiritually and mentally, psychologically, psychically. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever level. Doesn't matter. You can apply it to everything in life, right? The winners, the people who win in whatever level, the people who succeed, they self reflect. They take time to think about what happened. They take time to relieve those emotions. No matter how, intimidating or scary or it might feel, at the end of the day, the world is as fair as it is. You either self reflect and you learn and you win, no matter how many times you fail, or you never self reflect, you never win, and you end up failing for the rest of your life. And you always end up repeating the same patterns. You always end up repeating the same cycles. You always end up meeting, having sex, marrying the same type of people, right? Toxic people, because you don't reflect. And a lot of times, a lot of people, unfortunately, are not capable of admitting that they have a problem,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
also part of shadow work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is the first step to deal with your shadow work, is to admit that you need help, is to admit that you have a problem, which doesn't make you a freak, doesn't make you a monster. It makes
Mhm.
you like everybody, because everybody has problems. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Period. Nobody's perfect. I don't know. I don't know what the world told you. I don't know what social media told you. I don't know what your mother or your father did when you were growing up. I have no idea. But the reality is that everybody has problems. No matter how perfect or not they look, everybody has problems. I have problems. Jennifer has problems. Irina has problems, right? And even the cat that Jennifer is holding at some level also has problems.
Yeah.
So honestly,
He came to take away the problems.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's just what it is, really. No, so and like for example, now, right? Like there was something really beautiful that happened now, which was us all laughing. Which is sometimes it's important that you humor your problems, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And especially in relationships, right? Like life is already like so can be so stressful at at certain points. Humor your problems. Don't take life so seriously. You know, that's just what it is. That can help you with your shadow work, humoring your problems, right?
Mhm.
Because it's almost like you're telling your ego you're not that big. You know, it's like uh one of the things that helped me the most with my shadow work and like really having a fully a full like what helped me fully tamed my pride and my ego and my anger was just zoning out was just zoning out. It's like the universe is humongous. There's like trillions of planets, there are trillions of solar systems. Whatever's happening now on earth is really the least of all the problems that actually matter in this vast universe, right? um so honestly it really doesn't matter. um
Mhm.
and it's not like 90 years anybody will remember, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
so
so I
that's
just go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like that helps, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap us up and to say that shadow work isn't just deep reflection, it's also the practice, right? So when we use the tools like breath work, journaling, when we communicate with the person consciously and do the mirror work, it helps the couples to stay connected while doing their healing work together because we all are here to grow and evolve. And once we understand that, hey, in any kind of situation, it takes two to tango, right? So if we can address, if we can actually practice these different tools, our relationship is healing and it becomes better and it evolves, and so do we. Anything else you want to share before we wrap it up, Jennifer?
Shadow is it's not a bad thing. Like it's a good thing. There's the light
Mhm.
shadows and the dark shadows, and when you can integrate them and you don't feel triggered anymore, you just another one will come up that you
Mhm.
can work on. It's like you're an onion, right? Like there'll be a
Mhm.
deeper layer of it. And the self-reflection is key. The self-observation of just noticing where they're like you'll notice it in your body, like a ooh or a, there'll be something there that's tight and make it fun. Like I love I'm like, ooh, exciting. A new shadow's coming up. I'm excited about it. Like what's bothering me about that person?
Let's investigate, right?
Yeah, let's go deeper.
Hmm. I love it, and it's true. It's just like take anything and just make fun with that and have joy with that, and that's exactly how we are learning, and we are becoming the best versions of ourselves, so we can bring our best into the relationships that we have. Whether this is relationship with ourselves, whether this is relationship with another romantic partner that we have, whether this is relationship with a coworker, with the friends, and so on and so forth. So if we recognize and allow, Jennifer, what you say, it's not a bad thing because again, we are living in the world of duality. There is a day, there is a night, there is happiness, there is sadness, right? So everything is there for us to explore and to experience. And once we just recognize it, and as you mentioned, notice what we are noticing and start working with that, we see that we are actually enjoying the experience and we are always feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. What a beautiful conversation. And thanks everybody for joining, for watching, to want to learn and to understand yourself deeper, because that's exactly why we are here. And if you watch this episode, just drop the comment what you think about it. Was it useful? Was it interesting? And Jennifer, again, thanks so much for coming for this episode. Bruno, celebrate yourself to the fullest. And we'll see each other on the next episode. Bye.